Good morning, viewers. This is Kasturi Day. Today I'm back with the question answers of the tissue chapter. Some few questions are left, some short questions as well as some diagrammatic questions and large questions, okay? Descriptive type questions are left to finish this chapter. So before I start, I will request you to please to subscribe my channel, because in this channel, I'm giving tests also for your students. Okay, I started with this class 7 question answer. I'm started with the tests of this class 7 students. Okay, so for this you need to subscribe my channel to get the questions. Okay. So, and another thing, if you're liking the videos, press the like button, share with your friends so that they can also be benefited from these videos, as well as please do meditate before sitting to studies. That will increase your concentration as well as that will increase your memory power. Okay, so before this, I have given one test today also for this is another test for the same chapter of physics, that is physical quantities and management for class 7. So if you are interested, then you can also still can log on. This only 5 minutes left, but still you can get the question answers. If you are interested, you can get them. You can subscribe and then you can opt for the questions. You can get the link also. Okay. So let me start with today's discussions. The first question for today is: animals of the colder regions and fishes of the cold water, they have thicker layers of subcutaneous fat. We know. Okay. Excuse me. Because of the cold, they have a thick layer of subcutaneous fat. That's why they can survive there. So why it is so? It is due to the fact that the thick layer of the subcutaneous fat, they act as an insulator. This subcutaneous fat, which lies underneath the epidermal layer, that acts as an insulator and helps them to prevent or to stop the heat loss from the body, so that it can keep the body, it can keep their body warm. Okay, and they can survive in that cold climate. Even the fishes in the cold water also, they can survive in that way. Okay. The layer of the fat that acts as a subcutaneous insulation of the body for thermoregulation. That is the thing, main thing is that subcutaneous fat that acts as an insulator for thermoregulation of the body. Okay. Then next question is: if a potted plant is covered with a glass jar, water vapors appear on the walls of the glass, water droplets we see on the glass jar. Why it is so? What happens when a potted plant is covered by a glass jar? The water that is conducted by the xylem. Actually, what happens? The xylem conducts water, we know, through the roots to the aerial parts of the plant. And this water that has been conducted by the xylem, that is used by the plant for different processes like manufacture of their food, and also the extra water that is remaining, that is transpired by the plant, given out by the plant in the form of transpiration, in the form of water vapor. The process is transpiration, the form is water vapor. And these water vapor appear on the walls of the glass jar to form the in the form of water droplets. Okay, I think you've understood it. That is, there is the water that is conducted by the xylem, okay, of the roots to the aerial parts of the plant, that some of the water is used up by the different processes of the body of the plant body, and the extra water that is there, that is given out by the process of transpiration to the aerial in the form of water vapor. And this water vapor we see on the walls of the jar in the form of water droplets. Understood? Next question is: water hyacinth floats on water surface. We have seen that water hyacinth floating on the water surface. Why it is so? Explain it. The parenchyma, which is present in the swollen petioles of the water hyacinth. These water hyacinth, they have swollen petioles. Okay. Now the parenchyma in this swollen petioles are known as erenchyma, because they have large cavities in them, and that is filled with air. And this provides not large cavities, which provides the buoyancy and help them float in the water surface, on the water surface. Okay, that makes the petiole lighter. Okay, and the whole plant lighter rather, and that helps the plant to float on the water surface. Okay, next question is, the process of transpiration do not occur properly when the leaves are covered by a layer of oily substance. Like in the desert snow, some of the plants, they have some oily substance. We see that cactus type of plants, they have some oily substance on them. Okay, and therefore the transpiration does not occur very nicely. Okay, properly. Why it is so, and which other functions will get affected due to this covering? Now, the layer of oily surface will close the stomata present in the leaves. We know that leaves contain stomata, and this oily layer that closes the stomata, and this would decrease the rate of transpiration. That's why what happens, this will decrease the rate of gas exchange also, and as a result, rate of photosynthesis will also be decreased. And this generally happens where? In the desert area plants. Okay, where there is a large cuticle, oily substances there, and the transpiration is less there. So therefore, exchange of gases is also less there, and even the rate of photosynthesis also decreases. Okay. Then we come to some broad questions, descriptive type, structured and applications questions. Now see, you see the diagram, you need to study the diagram and then answer the following questions. Okay. See, there's a column of cells lying here attached to one another. Okay, so you need to label all the 4 parts. So first is identify the tissue and give a reason to support your answer. Name is, you name the parts labeled. Then where is the tissue likely to be found in the plant, and state the function of the plants, function of the parts which you have labeled, that is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what do we do? First, we answer the second question, that is naming the part 1, 2, 3, and 4. So first one is what? Sieve cell. Okay. Second is phloem parenchyma. This one is phloem parenchyma. This is companion cell, and this is the sieve plate. Okay. Now, the first part, we return to the first part of the question, that is A part. From these labelings, we understand that these components are present in which cell? It is in the phloem cell. Phloem tissue. Okay, so therefore, as these from the above diagram, as we see the components, that is sieve cell, phloem parenchyma, the companion cell, and sieve plate, this tissue is phloem tissue. Okay, now the phloem tissues are found in the leaves and other parts of the plant. Where are they found? They are found in the leaves and other parts, all the other parts of the plant. What is the why are they present there? To conduct food materials. So what is the function of the particular sieve cell, parenchyma, phloem parenchyma, companion cell, and sieve plates? Now first we come to sieve cells. Sieve cells are found, they are specialized cells which are found in the phloem tissue, which transports organic compounds which are made during photosynthesis. So we know that plant manufactures food with the help of photosynthesis, and during the photosynthesis, some organic compounds are produced. These organic compounds are transported to the different parts of the plant by these sieve cells. Okay, clear? Next is phloem parenchyma cell. These cells store food and other substances like raisins, latex, mucilage, and also helps in translocation of food. So function of phloem parenchyma cell is that after the manufacture of food, the food should be stored and some of it should be transported. So that is, some of that should be transported, translocated to different parts of the plants, and some of this should be stored. So both the functions are done by these phloem parenchyma cells. Some is transported by the cells and some are stored in other substances like resins, latex, mucilages, like that. Okay. Next, we come to companion cells. They help in maintaining the pressure gradient of the sieve tube element, and so they help in transportation of food. Okay. So that is, they help to pass on the food from one cell to other. Okay, like a tube, it passes from upper to lower or lower to upper. If the leaves are lower in the lower portion, to it should, the food should be located some upper parts of the plant. So they maintain a pressure gradient. They keep a pressure on the food so that they can be transported to different parts of the plant, and that's why they help in translocation of food. Okay. Next, we come to sieve plates. They help in the transportation of carbohydrates, mainly sucrose. Like sieve cells, they help in the translocation of organic compounds, whereas sieve plates help in the transportation of carbohydrates, mainly sucrose in the plants. The interface of the tubes contains pores in them, which help in the conduction process. Next diagram is, you tell me what type of cell is this? Okay, what is this? This is a nerve cell, and the part above this one is the cyton, that is the cell body, and the second part is the axon. Okay, the third one is the nucleus, fourth is the Nissl granules, and fifth is the myelin sheath on the axon, and sixth is the nerve endings. Okay, so first we need to identify the cell. It's a nerve cell. Labeling the parts. Then where is the cell likely to be found in the body, and what is its function? So the cell is likely to be found, I'm sorry, I've not mentioned here. Okay, I'll tell you. The cell is generally in the they are found everywhere where the nerve impulses are carrying from one place to another, especially in the brain and the spinal cord. Okay, then what is its function? To carry the nerves from, to carry the impulses from one part of the body to the other, and also from the muscles to the central nervous system, and from central nervous system to the different parts of the organs or the muscles. So this is the main function of the nerve cell, and the cell likely to be found in the human body, especially in the brain, spinal cord, and different parts of the body also. Okay. Without the nerve, without this nerve cells, neurons, you can call it, the single cell of nerve is known as neuron. Okay. So without these neurons, you cannot transport impulses, or rather you will not be able to feel what you want to rather. Okay, now then we come to some give reasons for. Meristematic cells have a prominent nucleus and a dense cytoplasm, but they lack vacuole. As the meristematic cells are actively dividing cells and there is no need of storage, so they do not have they have a prominent nucleus as they're actively dividing cells, and they are living, and there is no need for storage, so they lack a vacuole. They have a dense cytoplasm, a prominent nucleus. Okay, then intercellular spaces are absent in sclerenchymatous tissue. Why it is so? It's so because they have a thick deposition of lignin in them. In the sclerenchymatous tissue, the cells of the sclerenchymatous tissue, they have a thick deposition of lignin in between them, in their lining, and that's why there is no intercellular spaces. Now we get a crunchy and granular feeling when we chew pure fruit. Why? due to the presence of stone cells, that is the sclerenchymatous tissue with the pure fruit. That's why we get a granular and crunchy feeling. Then branches of the tree move and bend freely in the high velocity wind. Okay, it's due to the presence of collenchyma, which provides them flexibility to the various parts of the plant. As the plants, you know, they have a parenchyma tissue known as collenchyma. That helps them plants to be flexible, okay, to the way and of the way the plant parts to be flexible so that they can move, sway during high velocity wind. Now it is difficult to pull out the husk of a coconut tree. Why it is so? Due to the sclerenchymatous tissue which is present in the husk of the coconut, these are dead cells, no, very strong, so you cannot take it out very easily. So that's why it's difficult to pull out the husk of a coconut. Then explain the structure and function of the epithelial tissue. Now, the cells of the epithelial tissue, they form a thin protective covering that lines most organs, cavities within the body. Okay, they generally, excuse me, these cells, they form a protective covering. Singular layer of it forms a protective covering lining of both the organs and cavities. It also forms a barrier to keep different body systems separate. Okay, the skin, the lining of the mouth, the lining of the blood vessels, long alveoli and kidney tubules are all made up of epithelial tissues. Now, the epithelial tissues are tightly packed and form a continuous sheet. They do not have intercellular spaces. They're very tightly packed and they form a continuous sheet type of thing. Okay. And depending on the shape and the function of the cells, these epithelial cells are classified into, first is squamous epithelium. Now, the squamous epithelium, these are thin, flat or irregular cells with distinct nuclei which are very closely packed. These cells are very closely packed, but they are thin, flat or irregular with distinct nuclei. Now, in the cells that lines the blood vessels or lung alveoli, transportation of substances occur through, as they're single layer, no? So there is, all the cells we know have a semi-permeable membrane, even the cells which are living. So these cytoplasm that is semi-permeable in nature. And what do we see that in the blood vessel lining or lung alveoli lining, the transportation of substances occurred due to selective permeability of this layer. They also protect the underlying parts from mechanical injury, entry of the germs, and also drying. Okay, underlying parts are protected from this type of by these type of layer from mechanical injury, so that the germs cannot enter. There is no wear and tear or also drying. Okay. Next, we come to stratified epithelium. These cells are of various shapes. Okay. And they're arranged in many layers. See, in squamous, there was a single layer, but in stratified, there are many layers. They are generally found in the skin, so protect the skin from mechanical injury. As they are found on the skin, so it protects the skin from as they are found on the skin, in the skin, they protects the underlying parts of the body below the skin from any mechanical injury like wear and tear. Okay. Next, we come to cuboidal epithelium. Now, these cells are cube-like. That's why the name came as cuboidal epithelium. Okay, the cube-like shape found in the kidney tubules and all the glands of the body. So they help in what? Absorption, secretion, as well as excretion, and also they provide some mechanical support. Okay. So the kidney tubules, we know that there is function should be absorption, secretion, as well as excretion also. So this type of substances are found, these type of organs, they have cuboidal epithelium, okay, like glands, sweat glands, salivary glands, etc., all those things. They provide some mechanical support also. Then columnar epithelium, these cells, as the name suggests, it should be column-like or pillar-like. okay, with a distinct nucleus, which is situated at the base. Now, these cells are found in the lining of the stomach, intestines, and where the stomach and intestine, there is mainly absorption process should be there. So these cells help in absorption. Okay. Then glandular epithelium, these cells are large, they are modified cuboids. Okay. So cuboidal cells are modified. Cuboidal epithelial cells are modified into the layer. They are portion of this cuboidal epithelial tissues or cells. They are more folded. Epithelial gets folded inward, and a multicellular gland-like substance structure is formed, and that helps in secretion process. This glandular epithelium helps in secretion. Then we come to ciliated epithelium. These cells are also columnar epithelial cells which bear cilia. Okay, these cells are columnar epithelial cells. Excuse me. That is long column-like structures which have cilia on one end. Okay, they are found at the lining of the trachea, kidney tubules, oviduct, etc. So what is the function? They help in the movement of the materials in one direction by the rhythmic beating of the cilia. The cilia beats in the like a rhythm and moves the particles in one direction, only in one direction. That is the function of the ciliated epithelium. Then we come to some sensory epithelium. They are modified epithelial cells with the nerve endings. Okay, these are also epithelial cells which are modified having nerve endings. Excuse me. They help in perceiving stimulus. Okay, they help to perceive the stimuli as they're present in the nasal passage, retina of the eyes, taste buds, etc. Okay. Next question is a figure you can see, and you should identify it, label the parts 1 and 2, and where is it situated. So this picture, you can see the cells are cube-like. So these cells, the tissue is cuboidal epithelium. The dense part in the cube is the central part, that is the nucleus, that is one is nucleus, and below it, below the structures where the cells are arranged, there is a membrane known as basement membrane on which the cuboidal cells are arranged. Cuboidal epithelium is arranged. Okay, so where are they found? They're found in the kidney tubules, salivary glands, sweat glands, etc. Okay, so main function, you can say, if they want a function, you can say that there's absorption, secretion, and sorry, like the cuboidal functions, no? So absorption, secretion, and excretion. If it is present in kidney tubules, so excretion is also a function. Okay, so this is the end of this tissue chapter. Next, I'll be coming with a chemistry chapter, okay, of class 9 syllabus. So go through this. If you have any doubt, please write in the comment box, and revise both the text videos as well as the this one question answer videos. So when you have prepared, pin me up in the comment box. Okay, you can tell me that you have finished your chapters, then I can take you a test. Okay, so when you complete this, I can take you a whole subject test, or you can say a whole this one chapter wise test. Okay, so when you have completed, please ping me up. Okay. So thank you for watching, and have a good day.